So NOCN obviously offer all levels of functional skills from entry level up to level 2. So the sort of current climate, really, I think we don't need to talk too much about the impact of COVID on learners' ability to undertake the qualifications and exams, but obviously that's had a huge, monumental negative impact on learners' ability to be able to engage with learning and continue learning. So obviously, COVID has meant that we've then had to really adapt our way of being able to deliver. So I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But essentially, we've been able to develop online assessments and remote invigilation as well to sort of help learners. I think it's also important really that we need to think about, or just mention briefly, the reform of functional skills, because that actually happened September of 2019, which was only really 6 months before the first lockdown started. So the reformed suite of functional skills, when they became available, they're obviously a large emphasis really on the underpinning knowledge and skills that learners need. So the recent reform has meant that there's been some fluctuations in pass rates for some awarding organisations. But actually here at NOCN, whilst we've seen some minor fluctuations based on sort of the initial research that we've done and the data that we've managed to collect, our pass rates for the reform quals are actually very similar to the old functional skills. We've got there is a new government multiply programme that's being launched soon. So that's £560 million. It's a programme for adults. So any adult that doesn't currently have a GCSE grade 4 or C or higher in maths will be able to access free courses that fit around their lives. So whether that's going to be in person or online, they're going to be able to work really flexibly in terms of in the evening, part-time, or you can do the course intensively. And there's going to be a lot of additional support offered as well to support their needs. Employers are also going to be able to benefit from this new programme because it's going to obviously boost their workforce's skills. They're going to be able to work with their local authority and training providers to deliver maths GCSEs or work-ready functional skills qualifications, and actually be able to design and deliver bespoke programs for their workforce, which is going to be of no cost to them. So this is a huge government initiative that's going to be launched very soon. Now, we don't have much more details currently on that at the moment, although what we have been told, obviously, is there's going to be a new online resources launched in spring of this year, so hopefully imminently, which is going to include a digital platform as well. Sorry, that's my cuckoo clock going off in the background there. Okay, so our response then to the changes, the COVID, the reform and everything that we've mentioned. So we have looked at our Maths and English awards, and we've developed new qualifications for those, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about on the next slide. What we've also been able to do is implement online assessment for functional skills. So obviously the huge benefit here is the flexibility for learners. So learners are able to continue engaging with the learning, and they're able to take their assessments online. So it's a lot more flexible. It's obviously meant that we're able to now provide even quicker turnaround of results, which is fantastic. Obviously, setting this up was quite a huge thing for us, really. And we ran a pilot where we asked quite a few different centres across different colleges, private training providers. We had a centre that actually worked for the Royal Navy. So lots of different types of centres were invited to take part in the pilot that we ran. So we were able to then welcome feedback and get really good response from the different centres about the issues that they could see, they could envisage happening with the online delivery and assessments. And we were able to really engage with them and take that feedback back and work really hard to develop a fantastic platform. So there's no need really to download any other software. It's a web-based platform. That's all that you need. One of the things which I will talk to you as well about is the remote invigilation side of things. But what we did get the feedback initially from centres whilst we were running the pilot is that the key issue here really for learners was for them to be able to fully prepare, to be able to take the online assessments, because it is very different actually. Whilst you're getting the same questions that you would on a paper exam, being able to take it online is a very different process for the learner. So exams obviously are already quite a nerve-wracking time for learners really. Even the best of us perhaps get a little bit nervous when it comes to the exam time. So we felt that really we needed to put in a lot of work to be able to make the learner feel really prepared prior to their exam. So what we've done there is we've created lots of different video resources that are available, and we've also created a familiarisation set on the platform itself. So whilst we've got the video resources in there, you've also got you know, little video clips on how to use the ruler, how to use the protractor, you know, how to draw a graph and a chart online. And we give you, as the centre, we give you access to the platform, and we actively encourage you to then ask your learners to go onto the practice platform. They can have a play, they can use the tools, and they can really get used to seeing it, so that on the actual day of their exam, when they log in, some of those fears are, you know, allayed really, and they recognise what they're looking at, and they're able then to sort of go on and take their exam and feel quite confident. So we thought that that was really important, and actually it's been really well received, that hat. So moving on to our Maths and English Awards then. So these are our short qualifications that we've developed. So they are 60 hours long, and they go from entry level up to level 2 again. And there's one mandatory unit in that, and then the learner is able to choose an optional 5 credits. So that's really enabled learners to be able to build their confidence and develop in the areas that are specific to their needs. So it's almost like a bespoke qualification really, which is really good for the learner as well. In terms of the progression, you're able to then progress onto functional skills if the learner wanted to do that. GCSEs will then be able to take those skills into their work environment. In terms of the assessment of these qualifications, the delivery is on demand, so there's no assessment window. There's no formal sort of end exam paper, so the qualifications are a portfolio, which is great, particularly for those learners that are perhaps not ready to sit that end exam that you will get at the functional skills qualification. Okay, so that's our Maths and English awards there. Okay, so a little bit then about remote invigilation. So our remote invigilation, what we've done actually is developed a way that, you know, we've put together 4 different options, again speaking to centres, finding out what it is that they think that they would need for their learners. So we've been able to offer the 4 different ones there. So we've got the centre, observe, record and review. We've got the centre invigilated. We've also got the option for you to have the NOCN observe, record and review, and the NOCN invigilated as well. So we felt that having this choice, learners to be able to have this choice, you as centres to be able to offer this choice to your learners, was really important, again, from that initial feedback that we took from centres, because it's quite right that actually one size very rarely fits all, really, and it's important that we're able to counter for as many different types of learners as we possibly can. So being able to offer this remote invigilation that we started through the lockdowns was fantastic, because what it enabled us to do was able to provide the service for you as your centres to engage your learners so they could continue learning. So even if a learner couldn't get into a classroom as such, or the centre, they will be able to continue learning, and they will be able to continue and take their examination. So that was fantastic, because it enabled them to, like I said, continue learning, but able to achieve and progress as well. So, I mean, the remote invigilation, I can tell you a little bit more about it afterwards. If there's any questions, I would happily show you how it all works on the system. But you don't need any sort of, I think I mentioned earlier, you don't really need any anything other than an internet enabled room. So the learner would take their exam, potentially sat in their bedroom if they wanted to, as long as it was a quiet exam enabled environment. And we provide access for the learner, for you to invigilate the exam. So, and all you would need really would be an online conferencing system, so something like Zoom or Jitsi. So it's really, really good. And again, it's been very well received. And I think moving forward as well, we're going to continue seeing a lot of this, because we're not going back to the full face-to-face online delivery. I don't think we ever will now in this climate. So there's definitely got to be continued improvements, and we're developing all the time and welcoming feedback from centres to make sure that we're always trying to improve what we're able to offer for you. Okay, let's just go on to the next slide. Doesn't seem to want to move. It did this to me. There we go. Right, it was doing that to me earlier. It got stuck. Okay, so our offer then, as I've mentioned, really, we offer all of the levels from entry level up to level 2 in maths, English and ICT for functional skills. I've already obviously spoken to you about the maths and English awards, which go from entry level up to level 2 as well. I've spoken to you a little bit about the online offer in terms of learners being able to, we still offer paper exams, obviously, and we recognise that there are always going to be those learners that will, prefer to take their exam on paper based. That's absolutely fine. You can also have a mixture. If a learner was to take an exam, say, online and failed for whatever reason, and then felt that they didn't want to take it online again, you've got the option of choosing for paper exam, and vice versa as well. So it's just really about being more flexible and being able to offer you more, for you to then provide that choice to your learner and seeing the best way that they learn, really, and what works for them. Obviously, I've spoken to you about the remote invigilation options. Happy to go into a bit more detail about that offline if anybody wants to sort of ask any questions. More than happy to book in a slot with you. I'll be able to demo the platform for you as well. In terms of our resources then, we have the familiarisation section on the actual testing platform. We've got lots of different really good instructional videos that we're able to signpost people to do, that our in-house training team have developed. We have lots of different sample assessments, benchmark assessments as well. Now, these documents were all held onto our VLearn platform, which I'm going to show you very briefly after this. So they're the different types of resources that we've got. And also as well, coming soon, I thought that it was important really for us to say that as an organisation, we are always very welcoming of feedback from our centres. So we do actively encourage you to get in touch with your business development manager. You know, if there's anything that you think that we could be doing better, that would work better for you as your organisation. We are constantly working on trying to improve what we're able to offer. So things like our, faster results turnaround that I spoke about. NOCN will always endeavour to provide exam results within the 10 days. So that's something that we always strive to try and do, because we recognise that, once that, that hurdle of the learner has actually taken their exam, the waiting to find out actually is probably one of the most scariest parts. So we always try and get the results turned around really quickly for you. We're going into eCerts as well, so we're hoping that that process is going to be even quicker and more expedited, so that will be fantastic. Obviously, as I've already said, we ask for feedback, so there will be sort of minor improvements that the teams are constantly trying to sort out on the systems to make sure everything is really up to date. It's got all the current information on there and moving with the times, really. And one of the things that we do get asked about quite a lot that we do try and do is, but obviously we're sort of, we have to go with the papers that are released from Ofqual, is more sample assessments, because we recognise that the more practice runs that a learner can have, obviously that then really increases their, pass rate, that, the ability then to then pass on first time of taking the first exam rather than having to do a resit. So there's lots of different things that we're able to offer. I've got a last slide here at the end, which is for sort of questions for you, really, to see whether there was anything that you felt that you could, if there was any sort of suggestions that you thought might be a good idea, or whether you are aware of sort of other uses of technology, within the functional skills. So any questions like that will be really welcome. What I'm actually going to do is just briefly show you our VLearn platform. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail with it. I just want to show you where the resources are and what that looks like for you as a centre. So I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen and then reshare it. So just bear with me 2 ticks while I do that. And hopefully you will be able to see the new screen shortly. Okay, so I'm hoping that's come up for you now. So this first sort of page here, like I said, I'm not going to go into a demo of the VLearn platform, but effectively VLearn, we've been working with Olive Group, which are a global education technology company, and we have worked with them to create and develop our virtual learning environment, which is called VLearn. Now, this is an absolutely fantastic platform. It's all singing, all dancing. You can use it and as little or as much as you want. You can have qualifications on there of hours that you register your learners on. You can create your own courses and qualifications. There are hundreds of maximizer courses that are free for you as centres when you sign up to the VLearn package, where you're able to claim CPD certificates for your learners. And this is actually where all of our resources are kept now. So previously we had my NOCN. And what we've done is we've transferred all of the information that was on my NOCN across onto VLearn, and the teams are working really hard daily, weekly, adding, updating and creating new content for this platform. So any sort of resources, learning materials that you would want for the qualifications that you are approved for, VLearn is where you'd find them. So I'm just going to show you here the document section. So for the functional skills and the maths and the English, it's down here. We're in the preparation for life and work folder, and then everything's sort of really clearly set out in tabs, as you'll see. So if I click onto this tab now, it will take you into the different sections. So within this particular section, we've got the Maths and English Awards, and we've got the functional skills. So on here, just as an example, I mentioned briefly the benchmark assessments. So again, click onto that particular tab, and it will take you through onto the next ones here. So for an example, entry 1 benchmark test. So what you've got here is lots of different benchmark tests that you can have a look at. You can favourite things, so it's almost like bookmarking it if it's something that you want to come back to quite regularly to save you going through all those sort of thumbnails. You can actually just bookmark it. You can share these with people within your organisation, and you can also download them. And so you can download them and work with them there, or you can sort of then, if you were doing online face-to-face delivery, say, you could sort of in the classroom bring it up. So I'll just show you as an example one of the sort of benchmark assessments here. So what you'll get, these are the sort of resources that you'll get. You'll be given clear outlines on how the assessment criteria, what you're going to be assessed on, and how it will be achieved. You've got a bit of an information on the marking, and then it will go into the actual assessment. So it's asking you there, as part of this benchmark assessment, to take 2 of these assessment tasks for a one-to-one discussion, and it will give you a couple of different examples. So you've got one there on hobbies. Assessment task 2 will be on a college course. Task 3, things to do. So as you can see, there are lots of those available. And if I just go backwards now, if I can get back out of this one, bear with me 2 ticks. Oh, sorry about that. It came off then. Let me quickly go back into it for you. Sorry about that. It's hopefully you can see that again now. I don't know why that clicked off. Let me just quickly go back in. Okay, hopefully that's back on for you now. So that's just an example of one of the benchmark assessments. You can see how many there are to choose from. That's just in the entry 1. You would have the same for the 2, the 3, etc. across your maths and your English. For your functional skills, as an example here, your resources on your functional skills, you've got all these key information and guidance documents here. So there's webinars, there's linked to webinars, and some of the training videos that I mentioned our training team have put together. So there's links to all of those within this particular platform. You've got the live assessments in here and some sample assessments. So again, the same rules apply. You've got your bookmarking, your sharing, your downloading. I'll just quickly go into one of these to show you as an example. There you go. Just download that one for you so you can take a quick look. Okay, so this particular one that I've clicked on is an entry level 2 maths. It's telling you there quite clearly not to use a calculator for part A. Gives you how long you have to complete this section. Tells the learner exactly what they will need in order to be able to complete this particular task, and it will take you through the questions there. So you can see just briefly from that the amount of resources that we have on the VLearn platform for these particular qualifications. And as I said, the team are adding to these on a weekly basis, making sure that everything's up to date and that we're providing you with the best tools to then share with your learners. So hopefully they will be confident and happy taking their exams. So I hope that was okay. Let me just come out of that one there for you. And then what I will do is just literally I will take it back to the last slide, which was the questions, really, to see whether anybody did have any questions for me. Obviously, as I've said, I'm more than happy to meet with people. It would be fantastic if people did want a full demo of the platform. I can do that for you. I can show you the Caliblan platform. So yeah, I don't know if there's any questions from anyone.
Hi, Laura. So we haven't had a question as such, just a kind of comment from Barry, who says that he has used level 1 and level 2 awards, and they've been a positive step in supporting learners developing skills and confidence as they move towards functional skills. And they've enabled learners to gain a certificate and develop skills and confidence, and then they've seen an improvement in their completion rates and when they go on to use in a study and traineeship. And then that also has a knock-on effect, as their learners have also been able to kind of go into level 2 functional skills when they've taken up an apprenticeship, making them a bit of a better choice for employees.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's exactly what we would like to hear. Yeah, definitely. Don't know if there's any other comments or questions from anyone.
I can't see any other questions or comments in the Q&A, but as we've mentioned before, feel free to send an email to marketing@nocn.org.uk, and we will make sure that any of your questions and comments get to the relevant person and they will come back to you.
Fabulous. Okay. Well, I hope that wasn't too PowerPoint heavy there. And like I said, I'm more than happy to go over anything in more detail with you if you want to do that. So that's fantastic. Thank you. I believe my colleague Andrew is going to talk about our essential digital skills qualifications now. So enjoy that. I will sign off and thank you very much for listening.